And God stepped out on space, and he looked around and said, I'm lonely, I'll make me a world.
And as far as the eye of God could see, darkness covered everything. Blacker than 100 midnights, down in a cypress swamp.
Then God smiled, and the light broke, and the darkness rolled up on one side, and the light stood shining on the other.
Then God reached out and took the light in his hands, and God rolled the light around his hands until he made the sun. Then God set that sun, ablazing in the heavens.
And the light that was left from making the sun, God gathered up in a shining ball, and he flung it against the darkness, spangling the night with moon and stars. Then down between the darkness and light, he hurled the world. And God said, that's good.
And then God himself stepped down. And the sun was on his right hand, and the moon was on his left. The stars clustered about his head, and the earth was under his feet. And God walked, and where he trod, his footsteps hollowed the valley out and bulged the mountains up.
Then he stopped and looked and saw that the earth was hot and barren. So God stepped over to the edge of the earth, and he spat out the 7 seas. He batted his eyes, and the lightnings flashed. He clapped his hands, and the thunders rolled. And all the waters above the earth came down. The cooling waters came down.
Then the green grass sprouted, and the little red flowers began to blossom. The pine tree pointed his finger to the sky, and the oak spread out his arms. The lakes cuddled down in the hollows of the ground, and the rivers ran down to the seas. And God smiled again. Then the rainbow appeared and curled itself around his shoulder. And God raised his arm and waved his hand over the seas and over the land. And he said, bring forth, and quicker than God could drop his hand, fish and fowls, beasts and birds swam through the rivers and the seas, roamed the forest and the woods, split the air with their wings. And God said, that's good.
Then God walked around, and God looked around on all he had made. He looked at his sun, he looked at his moon, and he looked at his little stars. He looked on his world with all its living things. And God said, I'm lonely still.
Then God sat down on the side of a hill where he could think. By a deep, wide river, he sat down with his head in his hands. God thought and thought till he thought, I'll make me a man.
Up from the bed of the river, God scooped the clay, and by the bank of the river, he kneeled him down. And the great God Almighty, who lit the sun and fixed it in the sky, who flung the stars to the most far corners of the night, who rounded the earth in the middle of his hand.
This great God, like a man, bending over her baby, kneeled down in the dust, toiling over a lump of clay, till he had shaped it in his own image. Then into it he blew the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Amen, amen, and amen again.
Oh, yeah.